Hey guys, Jamie and Bush here. Today I'm just going to make a really simple Jerusalem artichoke velouté with morels and truffles. So it's not going to blow the bank, it's just going to be really effective and a really beautiful, stunning dish for your guests. So for this one I've got shallots, using shallots over onions just because I want a more delicate flavour. These are Jerusalem artichokes, so be careful not to pick up the ginger. Morels that I've just steeped, so I'm going to use that liquor as part of my vegetable stock as well, so it's not wasted, and then we're just going to cook those off in butter. And then I've got lemon water, which we're just going to clean the artichokes, and then we put them in the lemon water, and that will stop them from oxidizing so they stay white. So it will help keep the color, so you don't want them to go brown. So the first thing we need to do is shred or just chop up the shallots. So just run a knife through your shallots, and then they can go straight into the pan with some butter, and then we just cook those down, and while they're cooking down we can crack on with preparing the artichokes. Just got a knob of butter that can go in the pan, and then the shallots can go in. Going to add a touch of olive oil to help that along. They can just cook down on a low heat, and then we can do the artichokes. So I've just got a bowl of water here, and then I'm just going with a scourer, I'm just going to brush them. So you can peel them if you want, but for this one I'm just going to take off the skin with this, so I don't lose too much of the artichoke. So, and then place them in the lemon water. So and while you're doing the artichokes, just keep an eye on your shallots cooking down. So just want to cook them down really slowly without any colour. So it's quite important that you don't get any colour on this one, because you really just want to keep it as vibrant as possible. So just keep those on the move, and then we're going to chop up the artichokes. And just put them straight in the water. If there's any dark bits like this, just cut those away. So just work your way through. Once it's all chopped up and the shallots are soft, you can just add those in. Try to get rid of as much water as you can, because there's lemon juice in there, so you don't want that acid. I've missed one. And then once they're in, we can go in with the vegetable stock. So, and I've got my morel stock, so that can go in. And then we're just going to cook those until they're soft, and then we've got the morels. So I used dried ones, so that way I got the stock. And then I'm going to make up a centrepiece, which will actually be the incorporation of the truffles. So there's no actual truffles in it, but the idea is we're going to use the truffle to in some water, add it to some dry ice. This will be the centrepiece, and then as you're eating it, the smoke from the dry ice is going to take that truffle, and then you'll be having it with the scent rather than actually tasting it. So you're getting it that way. So we can increase the heat on the soup. Then we're going to finish that with some cream, fry off the morels, and then we'll be ready to put it together after we've blended the soup. So my soup now has been boiling for about 5 minutes. So I'm just going to add about 130 to 150 grams of cream, or milliliters of cream. So it's like about half of one of these small tubs. And then just continue to boil it until the artichokes are super soft. So once they are, then what I like to do is actually leave them on the, like turn the heat off, leave them on the side, and that way the artichoke or any vegetable will then absorb the liquid, and then that actually helps it break down. It's pretty much like the same concept of when you overcook the potatoes for mash, you know, when they start to break up and go really soft. That's what you're actually aiming to do to the vegetables. So then when you blend it, you don't get any like grainy texture. So you can pass it afterwards, but I'm just gonna leave it as it is, and that way you just get a really smooth soup. So we can have a look at it. If I need to pass it, I will, but I'm hoping I won't have to. So if it was for a dinner party, this kind of dish, I would certainly pass it just because of the morels, the truffles, you know, you just want it to be like really velvety. If it's boiling really aggressively, then just turn down the heat. So it doesn't need to be too aggressive, you just want it to cook slowly. So that way you know that it's not overcooking the outside where it's actually like completely falling apart, and then you think it's cooked and then inside it's still got some bite to it, because that's actually where you're going to get that really grainy texture. So just low and slow is generally the rule. So if you've got the time, then use it. So that is it. So while we're waiting for this, we can make up our display piece, and then hopefully that won't be too far behind, and then we can cook the morels and serve. So I've got some dry ice here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to spoon some dry ice into the bottom of my bowl. And then just grab some leaves, but if I was doing it for a dinner party, I'll go in search of some pine cones and things like that. So I've got some leaves, and then just a few sprigs from the garden that can just sit like that, and that is going to go in the center of the table. Obviously for serving you want a nicer one, like a nicer one than this, but we're going to put some truffle oil in here, and then I'm going to boil the kettle, and then later we're going to add the boiling water to here. You only need a couple of 100 mils because it's going to be just to react with the dry ice in there. So my soup now has been cooking for about 20 minutes, and I've had to add more stock to it, so probably another about 400 milliliters of stock. So 900 in total has gone in there. So right now the vegetables are soft, so I'm just gonna turn off the heat and leave it sit for 5 minutes before it goes into the blender. Okay, so that 5 minutes is up, so I'm just gonna tip this into here. And then just start a low blend and build up. Okay, so we're just going to check it for seasoning and also its consistency. So it's a nice creamy velvety texture. Super smooth, great flavour. So I'm not actually going to pass this. I reckon it's good enough as it is. So I cleaned this pan. I'm just going to pour it back into there. And then now we're going to cook off our morels. So for the mushrooms, I'm just going to cook them in a little bit of butter. So just squeeze out any liquid. They can just cook away gently. And then just going to fry those off for a couple of minutes. And then we're just going to put those on the top so they're a nice garnish for our soup. And then I've got some cloth that I'm just going to drain them so that butter doesn't leak into my soup, you know, so it keeps it nice and clean. The mushrooms now have been cooking for about 4 minutes. Yeah, they're good. So they can come off and just sit on the paper to drain. So I think they'll look nicer on the plate. And then let's serve. Just to keep it simple, just gonna spoon the soup into the middle of the bowl. Not in any particular order, just scatter them over. And then our truffle boiling water to give the scent. And that is it.